One. Hey, hello, everybody. Jamin here.
Christopher here.
And Marco here. How is everybody doing today? Are you ready to explore possibilities? Because we're all about exploring possibilities here, especially the possibilities of people finding each other, just the right each other. And I don't mean in a romantic sense. I mean, that's dating websites. That's not here. I mean, it could happen here, but not exactly what we're about. We're about things that might happen that would be, I don't know, saving, healing, and transforming life on Earth. You know, maybe you're out there building a rocket ship saying, we got to be prepared to get out of here. And, there's probably other groups of people out there doing that. You guys figured, we'll start with the engines and we'll worry about that gravity thing, and we'll start at the bottom and we'll just work our way up with the rocket. And there's other people out there thinking the same thing, only they're thinking, life support is important, navigation and all that nonsense. And, you guys presented at the press conference and you realize that these guys have got all the navigation stuff, all the life support, and we're halfway up the rocket with, the engines and gyroscopes and all that good stuff. And if you just got together your projects, individual projects, put them together as one, and guess what? You're ready to launch next week, buddy. So think about that. Think about all the possibilities. How about you, Christopher? Have you got anything you want to add to that?
I think you said it, Marco. I think that we've got the possibility here of bringing on anybody into the press conference, and my own housemate actually has 3 different organizations that they're probably going to be bringing to the conference, so it's pretty democratized.
Yeah, that's a good point, Christopher. You don't have to have a major project to present. You just have to be a person that wants to have a conversation. An actual conversation. It doesn't matter what it's about. Other than dumb things like how to be better than another country by beating people up. We're not about that. We're about the positive things. So if you want to grow mushrooms and you're interested in that, but you really don't know how, you can start a discussion group on mushrooms, present for 2 minutes how excited you are about them, announce when you meet. You can meet twice a week, once a month, and at least once a month, agree to have an open house where others can come and see what you're doing, what you're about. Oh, I'm sorry. What was that? Christopher, do you say you don't have your own Zoom room? That's okay. Here at TheConference.cc, you can use our Zoom. We have people in the main entrance where you come in. There's, we call it the campfire because it's a warm place where you can sit around and just, have all conversations, meet each other, whatever. And then we'll give you a breakout room for your mushroom group. No reason, mushrooms may need to grow in the dark, but your conversation doesn't. You can come by the light of the campfire.
They're magic mushrooms, by the way.
Oh, yeah. We don't care what kind of mushrooms. Magic, morels, shiitake.
What'd you call me?
Yeah, we have fun too. We everything doesn't have to be serious. We have our serious side, like our conversations on solar radiation management, which, in case you're not familiar, the climate change is a big issue. And although there's lots of great ideas, plant more trees, reduce emissions, fossil fuel emissions, it's very likely we're past the point where those things will have enough time to take effect before they eliminate the life on Earth. So solar radiation management is simply different ways of reflecting some of the sunlight back so it isn't absorbed onto the planet. It's kind of like turning on the air conditioner. So want to learn more about that? Those conversations happen here. So yeah, get your spot. Sign up at ThePressConference.org. Go to the sign up page, and give us your information. Look forward to working with you. Working, playing, laughing, learning, all happens here. I feel like I've been taking up everybody's time here. I think I might be over 2 minutes.
It's okay, Marco. Goodness. And that actually is something that characterizes the open houses, which are what we're kind of creating as this really easy way to get into the game of transformational conversations. You see, anyone can create an open house on Zoom right here in ThePressConference.cc, which is where we're talking right now. We're in a breakout room on the 24/7 Zoom room that you can always find on ThePressConference.cc. So anyone can contact us and say, hey, I'd like to have a breakout room, please. No problem. And the way to contact us is just come to the Zoom room and say, hey, this is me. I'd like to have a breakout room, please. No problem. All right. And you can also schedule it. But the basic idea of the press conference is that we give you a space to say, hello, world, for 2 minutes at the weekly press conference, which we're building into an institution. For 2 minutes, you'll be able to talk to the world. Now, who's listening? I guarantee you there'll be a lot more people watching the recording of the first press conference that we do on November 19th. Then we'll be watching it live, right? Because it's going to take it some time to really get known. We're doing it every week, every Thursday, starting on November 19th, and we have capacity for 100 conversations to represent for 2 minutes each during over the course of the first 6 hours of the press conference, and after that, it becomes an after party of everyone who has participated and anyone who's curious about participating. Right, so it becomes a big mass networking event with lots of different breakout rooms. So it's really much more of a conference than a press conference initially. Now, over time, as it becomes the institution that it's destined to become, the press will increasingly show up to find out what's new and hot, right? And lots more to say about that. But one really key thing I want to throw out there is that imagine we create an open house. In fact, what we essentially have here is an ongoing open house 24/7 at ThePressConference.cc. Thanks especially to the two of you, Christopher and Marco, who are so at the helm at crazy hours when necessary. And more and more we have more and more people jumping in and helping out at the campfire. But bottom line, we're 24/7, and it's a great place just to land, just to come and hang out, right? A great place to hang out on the internet is ThePressConference.cc. It's true, and there's cool stuff. Like we got really cool stuff going on in a different breakout room right now. And everyone's welcome to that. So there's always stuff going on, but really the press conference is about something way, way bigger. All I'm saying is ThePressConference.cc is an example of a really open community and resource that invites the world to come in and play and use breakout rooms and set up their own ongoing open houses, right? So anyone can have an open house at any time with any frequency. Again, ThePressConference.cc is an ongoing open house, but others happen once a month, others happen once a week, others happen once a day, right? Humanity Rising has there's a program following every Humanity Rising segment called the Chat People. Anyone's welcome. And they talk about that day's Humanity Rising segment. How cool is that? The chat people, right? So that's they have a daily open house, and it has a specific topic each day that they build off of. Anyway, I've been talking for a lot, so I'm going to go on mute, and then plenty more to say, but I'm going to go on mute. Thanks.
I don't know what else to say here.
Oh, no, I'll jump in then. You don't have to worry about filling up the space, but if you have something to say, just jump in.
Yeah, no, I'm just, right now it's just like I've been kind of mesmerized by my own speech there. I think I'm drifting off into all the possibilities, and with the mention of the chat people, had one of them in tonight, Shannon from British Columbia, and she dropped in not.
Hey, Marco, listen. Hey, we couldn't hear you for a few seconds there. Try now.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I think I accidentally hit the button. Yeah, we had a person, one of the chat people, stop in tonight. She was interested in looking at the press conference, and she came into the campfire because she noticed that we have some typos here and there. And she said, that's just her. That's just the way she is. Her name is Shannon, and she'll be signing up to help us, as a volunteer.
Like an editor, for example.
Editor, yeah. So, and she also is going to sign up to present because she's a Gaia priestess. So that's going to be awesome. Isn't that great?
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Wow, awesome. That's fantastic.
Any more thoughts from you, Christopher?
Yeah, I'm just myself looking to present a section that I want to begin promoting on the conversation on free energy, which is something that a bunch of people around here have been talking about for a while. And I think it's worth having sort of an ongoing section about, just because of the gravity related to it. So it's kind of exciting to, to have a possibility to voice that.
Yeah, free energy. That's a good idea. Have a segment on that. When people come to the segment I'm going to be doing on sustainable, we're going to call it sustainable principles. These sustainable things you can do every day because you have principles and you want to do the right thing. So when we get people interested, that's going to be an all-encompassing talk on all things sustainable. And so now I know where to send the people that are kind of leaning towards the free energy thing. We can send them over to you, Christopher.
Awesome. I didn't realize you were actually in connection with those folks.
Yeah, there's when you talk about sustainability, everybody has an idea what that should be. So we expect that as time goes on, we'll be breaking up into different groups where people will be choosing like your example of sustainable of free energy, which is really kind of the epitome of sustainability, I would say. But there'll be people that are interested in composting and recycling and all those things. So while it'll, I imagine we'll have at least a handful, if not a dozen groups split off of that conversation, which is fine because they can even end up being the same day, just split off to a breakout room right away. They don't have to wait till next week or next year or next month. It's like if you're in a conversation and you were brought here in a specific conversation and you find yourself with a few people in the room that are kind of leaning one way. There's no need to whisper in the chat. You can just have your own room and yell out loud.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, like in terms of an open house on, just consider that we all of us co-create, and Christopher, you might want to take the lead on this with help from Marco, because I don't really know too much about free energy, but the two of you could take the lead on creating a free energy open house. And your first step is to reach out to that community and say, hey, we're going to create a free energy open house, a weekly forum where we get together and talk about free energy on Zoom. And we're fixing to schedule this thing and get it launched pretty soon here. Two questions for you all. A, who would be interested in participating in that or interested in knowing more about it? If you're interested, jump in and, come to the conversation, right? And meet us here. And number two, would anyone like to represent? Who would like to represent at the press conference on November 19th? Who would like to represent, right? Now, because here's the interesting thing. Now, listen, let's say there's 5 people who raise their hand and say that I want to represent. Guess what? Each of you can talk for 2 minutes. Really? Yeah. And, you might want to coordinate or you might not want to coordinate. You can all have literally the same title. It could be Free Energy by Jamin Shively, Free Energy by Marco, Free Energy by Christopher. And we each give our own take on it. But here's the cool thing. All of us could say, meet us at the free energy open house, because guess what? Let's say there's 200 of us there. We can break out into 20 different breakout rooms if we want and fan out, because the power is in fanning out. See, Marco talked about building a rocket ship. Let's say there's, all these different teams that are working on different parts of the rocket ship, and they all coordinate to bring their parts together to create the whole rocket ship. Imagine that the images, here's the rocket ship and here are the 10 different sections or whatever. Okay. Now imagine that the topic of free energy gets chunked out into 10 different sections. Why not? Why not? SRM needs to be chunked out into 10 different sections in terms of engineering solutions, 10 different engineering solutions. But watch this optical illusion. Those are just one finger in a larger index that says engineering solutions, financial solutions, political solutions, economic solutions, industrial solutions, cultural solutions. How do we promote this to different cultures of the world? Religious solutions, leverage the things that 90% of people belong to, which is religions, and work with them. A new story for humanity. This is part of a new story for humanity. We were overheating, and then we found out a way to cool the planet, a giant planetary air conditioner effectively, except it uses radiation instead of convection, which is what air conditioners use as the method of cooling. We use radiation, and because it's at a planetary scale, we need to cool the whole planet. That's the thing, and it's hard for a lot of people to think about. But anyway, I don't want to rat hole too much on this SRM beyond the point that we need an SRM open house. We need a free energy open house. We need an open house for the book How Soon Is Now. We need an open house for the book The Ministry for the Future, right? I'm just going to look on the on the bookshelf. We need an open house for the book Conscious Business by Kaufman at MIT. Excellent book. We need an open house on The Sixth Extinction by Elizabeth Colbert. And then here's the cool thing. We get to reach out to Elizabeth and say, hey, Elizabeth, we want to do an open house based on your book. Are you interested in participating? How on earth could she say no? If I wrote a book and somebody called me up and said, hey, Jamin Shively, we're going to do an open house based on your book. Are you interested in? I'd be like, when are you meeting? I want to talk to you. I don't know if I want to sue you or if I want to hug you, but I want to talk to you for sure. I'm joking, right?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And so it's like, this gives us a way to reach out to different communities and say, hey, we want to do an open house based on what you're interested in. Are you interested? It almost becomes like a question that answers itself. Hey, we want to do an open house on something you're interested in, like free energy. Are you interested?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're bringing up books, Jamin, is really awesome because we have a lot of self-publishers out there these days, and this would be an awesome opportunity for them. They could hold a weekly read a chapter out of their book and get people interested in their books. For the self-publishers out there,
Oh
this
my
is an
goodness.
awesome opportunity.
And listen, what they could do, I love what you just said. Imagine that once a week they record a video of themselves just reading a chapter of their own book. And whenever they have an important point there that they want to go off on, they can put the book down and go off on the point. That's the book coming to life. And then what? And then check this out. So imagine they release that a week before the next open house on that book. So you got a whole week to listen to that chapter if you don't own the book, right? And then you're ready for the next open house where that chapter will be. How cool is that?
It's amazing.
Isn't that, listen, what we're doing is we're doing these massive dimensional enhancements on conversations. A book is a conversation, but it's mostly sitting on the shelf. And you're lucky if you meet someone else who's read the same book. Unless it's a book like Sapiens. I keep running into people who are reading Sapiens, right? It's funny. I mean, it's an outstanding book. But whether it's a blockbuster like Sapiens or whether it's a self-published thing that all of 10 people have read, and if you want to put up a free PDF or whatever, but anyway, just come to the open house and meet the author. And because every little micro published book like that equates to a community. And this way we get to bring that community together. And they get to do a 2-minute presentation to the world that says, hello, world, right? We're here. We're centered around this we're focused on this conversation. We're focused on this book, which is a conversation. It's more like a soup starter for a stone soup, right? Because, you start from there and then you go from there, right? You build from there. And what's beautiful about a book versus a blog post or a YouTube video or something like that is it's really like a whole journey all mapped out into, 23 chapters, right? And so you get to go on a journey together. I mean, like books are just phenomenal for that. But you can do the same thing based on a documentary. Hey, we're going to first focus on the first 20 minutes of this document. Like a documentary can just have just gobs of information. I mean, just the first minute alone, you could spend hours on YouTube researching, what you just saw in the first minute. But anyway, my point is you can slice up a documentary as thin as you want and create a whole journey out of that. And invite the producers, the executive producers, right? The writers, whoever you want, the actors, right?
When I think of, we just discussed books and you said movies and actors, I'm sure there's a few amateur movie producers out there that wouldn't mind getting their 2 minutes of fame that will, lead them to having more people to collaborate with. And not to mention that their 2 minutes, everyone's 2 minutes from, that will be recorded at the press conference will also go on to the next website in production right now, where they'll be loaded into the database of searchable categorized and searchable. So your 2 minutes will be immortal, and you don't have to count on just your 1-2 minutes. That hope that somebody happened to be here out of all the people in the world for your 2 minutes. They're going to be in a database where people can view them, essentially forever.
Yeah, exactly. And, history will forever, there'll be press conferences every week from here to eternity, right? Because for me, this is just a vital thing that humanity needs. And there will be press conferences like the press conference in every language, right? And there will be whole weekly press conferences just on solar radiation management. Because here's the thing. We're kind of like the guys, we're all sweaty. It's late in the afternoon. We're up in the North Texas Panhandle, and we're just busting rocks and dirt. And we're getting all dejected and tired and all. And then next thing you know, right, just geyser just gushes open, right, of water, of course. But anyway, and it's like, wow, because see, right now people are just starting to trickle in because it's a new thing, right? And it takes some people time. Some people get it instantly, right? Some people get it over time. Some people never get it. And that's okay. We're not here to proselytize or anything and say, hey, you must believe this. This is yet another platform that we believe the world needs. The world needs platforms like this, right? So we're just an example. We're the first, right, that does a weekly planetary press conference about things that matter. What matters right now is saving, healing, and transforming life on Earth. That's what matters. Making another 10 million bucks in your real estate empire doesn't matter right now, right? What matters is saving, healing, and transforming life on Earth. It's as simple as that. So,
While you collect that thought, I have one here, Jamin, too, that, not only are we doing this because, sometimes it's just kind of cool to be cool. There's a little bit of ego in all of us. But just to be clear, we're about, saving life on Earth, healing it, transforming it. So if you think that the press conference could be done better, you know what? Come get your 2 minutes of how your press conference is going to be better. And you're welcome.
No, seriously, if you want to announce your own press conference, what better place to announce it than the press conference, the first, the original. So come here and say, hey, we have a press conference on SRM, solar radiation management. I'm pretty serious about starting one of those myself if Dr. Yatow at Harvard or Guy McPherson don't beat me to it. Or maybe we do it together. Hi, Guy. Hi, Ye. I'll send him this video. Anyway.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. There's when you come to the PressConference.org, there's you can sign up to do your presentation here. You can also sign up to be part of the action, volunteer. Show us where you think it could be better. We can collaborate or we can coexist and still do good.
I love it. I love it. Kind of reminds me of all these cryptocurrencies that forked off of Bitcoin because it's open source. The code's all open source. You can take a copy of it and tweak it and, hey, I got a new cryptocurrency, right? It's kind of like that. Feel free to start your own press conference and, literally feel free to recruit people from here and say, hey, why don't you come help us out over there? Because you can have a different press conference on a different day that doesn't compete head to head, with the Thursday press conference, right? Or if you want to do one that's in parallel, who cares? Just do whatever you want to do. But we need to make press conferences a thing. We need myriad press conferences in each language. That's actually very important because Well, why don't we just do it in English? Everyone should, come on. No. We miss out on so much perspective, right? Marco, you've got German heritage. The press conference is in German, the conversations in German just go a whole different way, right? Than the ones in English, the ones in Spanish. Well, here's the thing. There are no ones in Spanish. There are conversations in Spain, and those are very different from conversations in Mexico. And even conversations in Mexico is a misnomer, because there's 32 states, and each state really has its own culture, its own stories, right? And it's really different space. And this is all beautiful. You know why? With all this diversity of perspective that comes from language and culture and history and tribe and whatever else, and just whatever it is, each of these is a different perspective on reality. And sometimes we, just like, you get 17 doctors looking at a certain situation. Why? Because you need the collective intelligence of all those different perspectives. So we need a plethora of press conferences by language and culture, by industry, by discipline, by religion, whatever. Bring them on, right? How about it?
Sounds like we got quite the plan.
Well, the cool thing is the plan is emerging in front of our very eyes. We're just now brainstorming. I mean, we came to do a recording to publish and say this is what it's about, but we don't know what it's about. We're just starting here, right?
Yeah, well, like I said earlier, it's easy to just get lost in the thinking about the possibilities.
Yeah, and that's a good thing. Oh, but here, let me tell you guys some cool stuff that we've been thinking up. One thing is, so imagine we have this open house called Free Energy Open House. Literally every single press conference, there could be 2 or 3, 2-minute presentations on different facets of free energy, and they all point to the same open house. Now, what happens when you get hundreds of people coming to that? And here we are at the campfire, like the dude trying to juggle 300 balls, right? At some point, the saying will go from get a room to get a Zoom. Like literally get your own dang Zoom. And listen, let's face it, when there's 300 free energy aficionados, because this is the Zoomosphere, where there's a lot more, to call a spade, privileged folks, right, on Zoom than in the average of humanity on Earth, the average of the 8 billion. If there's 300 people on the Zoom thing, the open house for free energy, half of them are rich. Let's face it, half of them are rich, or a third of them are rich, and or at least half of them could donate something, and a tenth of them could donate a lot. And if they're spending their time there, right, one of them is going to want to step forward and host it. This is actually a really important syndrome. Let's call it the ownership syndrome. Somebody will step forward and say, I will donate a Zoom room, which with all features, could be, several $100s per year, depending on the features, could be thousands of dollars per year. I think I've broken 1,000 already, just with all the, this, that, and the other. But it's money well spent, because my goodness, we're hosting the conversation. I mean, I feel like we're the ones getting the better part of the deal, seriously, because we're getting so much out of it, right? Anyway, so thank you, Zoom. And I feel very happy to give you my money, frankly. So somebody else will take that position for free energy. And then it becomes like its own big thing, like the conversation. You see what I'm saying? And so we want to help encourage these things to spawn, but it all starts with a 2-minute presentation and an invitation to come to an open house. So what I'm saying is, every time you do a presentation, doesn't mean you have to start a new open house. No, just make sure you have an open house to point to, whether it's your own or one that you're a part of. But here's the important thing. If you're going to give a 2-minute presentation and say, hey, come see me at this open house, please be there, right? Obviously, emergencies happen. Like if my mother needed me, I'd be so fast out of any Zoom meeting, you know, and I've had them with presidents of countries. I'd be gone. I don't care what the Zoom meeting is. I'm out of there. So, you know, likewise for all of us. And, but if you can be there, be there. Right. If you can't be there, you know, either let people know or whatever, and we'll get really good and really systematic about this. Right now, we're talking in the realm not of the press conference, but snack bar, where we'll have this big snack bar menu. It's basically a menu of all the open houses out there, plus whatever other conversations are out there that you can join or that you can at least apply to. Right. Some of them will have an application thing that's maybe very simple, but anyway, back to you, Marco.
Yeah, once again, I was, you know, I heard everything you said, but again, lost in the possibilities. I'm just kind of speechless right now.
Well, the thing is, the whole thing is this massive fractal, right? The whole thing is a massive fractal, and it's kind of like we came to this super clear, just pure white world. Think like heaven can wait. If you're old enough, I know you are, Marco. Christopher's too young, but everything's white. And then you come along with a droplet, and as the droplet's falling, it starts evaporating, and even its molecules start to hit the white surface, and just poof, it's like a cornucopia of color and geometry, and it just starts exploding. That's what's happening right now in front of our very eyes with the press conference, because we're co-creating it with our words. Well, how are we co-creating? Because it's all being written down. Written on what? Written on my hard drive for starters, and then on YouTube, and then transcribed, and then indexed, and then searchable. The hard part was recording it. That's done. The hard part was creating Zoom. That's done. The next hardest parts are the press conference. A lot of work. I probably won't sleep tonight. I hate to say that, because then we got our 24-hour block party tomorrow. So I'm probably going like several nights without sleep.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, it's not a big deal. It's not a big deal. There's no place I'd rather be right now, literally, than with you guys having this long form conversation. There's no place I'd rather be, right? Because we're co-creating. Because we're co-creating this right now. This is the tip of the rocket ship, right? This video will be on the homepage of the press conference. How cool is that? We're literally talking through the press conference right now with a little bit of time delay.
So yeah, that's amazing. Life
Isn't
support.
Yeah.
It's kind of, yeah, I think that kind of is fitting. We're basically life support for the human race right now.
Yeah, and just imagine that each conversation that gets started, right, is like a hair on my beard, right? And because every conversation that starts has continuity. All these open houses are recurring. They're recurring open houses every week or every month or whatever the frequency. Some are once every 2 weeks, some are every day. Some are every day, Monday through Friday. Some are every day, 7 days a week. So it's just like, and some are continuous, like literally the conversation.cc is a continuous open house where we talk about everything, right? But if you want to go to an open house where you're guaranteed they're going to talk about what you want to talk about, free energy or SRM or desert permaculture or feeding the world, whatever it is, go to Snack Bar and find exactly what you want on the menu. Yeah, you have a menu where you can have free samples. Each sample is a 2-minute video. Doesn't mean you have to watch the whole thing. You can watch 30 seconds and spit the rest of the sample out. Just make sure you spit it into the organic compost bin, right? And then it becomes compost for Marco's beard. He likes to soak his beard in that compost and makes it shiny or something.
Even was referring to his stubble there as a beard. If you
it's stubble. For you it's stubble, because pretty soon it's going to be longer than Christopher's hair.
Yeah,
right?
if you get into a beard growing conversation, you know, you can have one this long. It doesn't even fit in the frame all the way.
Anyway,
Any conversation is possible.
but really, each of your hairs represents a different conversation. Now, some of them are braided together into an open house that covers all of them. An open house is like a braid, right? You can load it up with as many conversations as you want, but if you're going to start a conversation, you know, at the press conference, give a 2-minute presentation, right? At least be at the next open house that you're pointing to. You can always shut it down. You can always shut that conversation down, meaning it doesn't point to any open house, either because you're taking a break from Zoom and nobody else wanted to pick it up and be responsible for it or whatever, right? Bless you. Or, you know, you can shut it down and point it to something else. We've actually written out the software for this in Radish Labs on radish.org. I call it the Rad Labs. In honor of my dad, who worked at the Rad Lab at UC Berkeley, the radiation, what they used to call the Rad Lab, the radiation laboratory. They were doing discovering new particles and stuff like that. My uncle was in on it too, Uncle Frank. Anyway, you guys know Uncle Frank. He worked with Dr. Luis Alvarez, who got the Nobel Prize for discovering all those particles. But anyway, the Shiveleys were in on it. Anyway, so in honor of that, at the Rad Labs, we've created the software for literally linking these different conversations. So one strand can grow out to here, and then it ends, but it branches like a southwestern cactus. It does like a right angle, and goes off in a different direction as a new conversation. So the requirement is every living conversation has to point to a living, recurring open house that holds that conversation, that hosts it, right? And so if you're going to retire as representing that conversation, please have somebody else do a 2-minute presentation saying, hey, this is a continuation on what Marco recorded on November 19th, 2020. This is a follow-on. I'm building off of that. That way we have that continuity. And like I said, we've written the software for it, right? And so it's now ready to use, where we can actually map all these things out. It's pretty cool. So that's all in the realm of snack bar. But you see, it's important that we talk about these things as a whole. So think of the conversation.cc as a foundation. That's like a bedrock foundational layer. On top of that, we're building the press conference. That doesn't mean that the press conference depends upon the conversation.cc specifically. Let there be millions of things equivalent to the conversation.cc that it also relies upon. But it relies upon things like the conversation.cc. It relies upon these, you know, to use a metaphor from The Empire Strikes Back, you know, that city in the clouds where you can land and it's safe and get repairs and all kinds of good stuff. Bad metaphor. And actually it's a good metaphor because the dark side messed with City in the Clouds. But they also got messed with. And so, but anyway, these places become a place where we can work out these cosmic issues between good versus evil. The cosmic tension between, you know, the American lifestyle and the American dream and saving life on Earth. Which is more important? Right? Anyway, we get to work all this out. So again, bedrock layer, the conversation, platforms like that. Next layer, press conferences. Platforms like this one, ThePressConference.org. On top of that, myriad information systems, which we're playing with in the context of snack bar, the snack bar menu, where it's the Chicago Yellow Pages 1975, right? It's not high tech. It's just browse by category. Why not start with simple? Simple is good. I'm intentionally holding my fire on deploying certain technologies like transcription and like, you know, Marco's beard braiding and branching and all this. I just love that Marco has his beard there, so we can refer to it. It's so visual and it's alive and it's growing. I mean, it's happening. And it's also a really good metaphor because the stuff at the very end you know, we call it dead. He could cut it with scissors and he's not going to go, ouch. Why? Because those are recordings from stuff that happened months ago. The new stuff is right on his face, right? Right there, or right under his skin where the follicle is. That's where the action is. That's where this is at, like right now. This is like a follicle. And we're just, but 5 seconds from now, what I'm saying right now will be dead hair, very close to the surface of the skin. But the living part is always in the moment. And that's what's been missing from the internet until COVID. With COVID, we exploded all over the Zoomosphere. And now what we need is the Chicago Yellow Pages. Well, the press conference, as it turns out, is a really great filter and content generator for the Chicago Yellow Pages at the same time. It's a filter because it's like, listen, are you really on the court? If you're really on the court and ready to lead a conversation, you know, prove it by getting on the press conference and talking for 2 minutes. If you're not ready, that's cool too. And so it's going to become kind of like this mass initiation for humanity to participate in press conferences. Because guess what? Everybody needs to hear from everybody systematically, meaning we need a massive, massive, massive 10,000 page snack bar menu where Christopher can find exactly what he's looking for, right? Not just an anger management group, but a Canadian anger management group, because they get angry like nobody else. Marco, you got your mic unmuted. Go for it.
Wow.
No, but I mean, seriously, haven't you seen how they like hit each other with their hockey sticks? And it's just disgusting. Okay, back to you, Marco. Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw it back to you because you need to, you keep saying snack bar. We have to point out it's snack.bar. And why don't you explain that? I have someone at the door. I'll be right back.
Take your time. Take your time. I'll explain it. Okay, so snack bar is so snack is spelled SNAC. There's no K, and it's an acronym for the social network of actual conversations. Do you see how I put emphasis on actual? We're actually talking to each other. Like Christopher, if you don't mind jumping in just to set the example. We're actually talking to each other. I could be doing 90% of the talking. Christopher's probably just sitting there getting angry. Hey, just kidding. Anyway, we're having an actual conversation. We're talking about things that matter. We're talking about saving life on Earth, and what's that going to take? What's that going to take in terms of information systems? What's it going to take in terms of social networks? What's it going to take in terms of press conferences? These are all different media. I use different analogies like the Chicago Yellow Pages, right? We need to think in terms of all these different analogies because each one has its special gift to contribute to the entire canon of media, right? What happened when the printing press came into its own? Well, the first thing you print was pages, page after page, like newspapers. But then it's like, wait a second, we can print a whole bunch of pages, different pages, and make a book. And now you had all these books. We were talking earlier about the power of a book. So that's a great example of one medium, a printing press, which is just a machine. And out of it comes these mass production of books and plethora of books. And so it's like we're taking the printing press of Zoom and turning it into the press conference and then snack bar, right? So the social network of actual conversations, snack bar. And don't ask me what bar stands for because I don't know. It doesn't really stand for anything. It's just, anyway, just snack bar, right? Anyway, it's this massive menu of all these different topics and subtopics and subtopics, and it's made searchable by keyword and hashtag and whatever. I mean, It's under development, but this is the vision of it. So you'll be able to search for and find whatever conversations you're looking for that have open houses. And then you'll just be able to click add to calendar. If it's important, add it to your calendar and be there. And when you go there, guess what? You get to find out about all kinds of other conversations that are happening, because you'll be talking to the people that care the most about that topic in that open house. And you'll be able to find out about other open houses on related topics, or topics that you didn't think were related, but you then found out are related. This is what happens when you're able to go to the cutting edge of whatever topic, of whatever thing, right? The cutting edge will be in the open houses on that topic. There might be thousands on free energy. Great. You know, we need myriad open houses on the topics that are most important. I hope there are thousands of open houses on SRM, right? Because we need all hands on deck looking at SRM from every possible angle. Is it really essential? There's really no other way to cool the planet, Jamin, than SRM, right? Don't ask me. Ask Dr. Yatow at Harvard. Ask Dr. David Keith at Harvard. Ask Dr. Leslie Field at Stanford. Ask Dr. Mark Jacobson at Stanford, right? Homes, respectively, of what I call the Harvard solution and the Stanford solution, which think they're competing with each other, but they're really doing the same thing, just in different ways. We need both. We need all these to come together. So I've been trying to get everyone to come together and form a coalition. It's been a long haul. We're making good progress. But I think with the open houses, we're really going to make progress. With the open houses, the press conference, snack bar, Togetherland, the conversation, and listen, and your platform, bring your platform, right? If you're Trello, bring Trello here. Lots of our transformational communities use Trello. Others use Weaver, right? Others use, I don't know what, right? Or it could be a whole platform that's under development, like Togetherland. Bring that here. Let's talk about it. Let's co-create it together. Let's bring our different parts of the rocket ship together. That's part of the idea of Togetherland, right? But listen, it's one big fractal. It's one big hyperobject. It's not like the universe is 27,000 different universes and you can take your pick. No, it's one. This is one life, right? This is one existence. And we're one very special species that's also gotten really screwed up in so many ways. So addicted to so many toxic substances like money and power, domination, ego, right? Fear, war, conflict. We were talking earlier about the conflicts between and among networks and communities and groups within the greater transformational space, right? There's a lot of conflict and a lot of turf wars and competition, right? All the way to outright, character assassination, right? That's the mode of assassination here in the Zoomosphere, is character assassination. And it's a real thing, and so we're actually going to have an open house about character assassination. Take it all the way to the extreme. But the rules of that open house are we don't name names. We just talk in general. So we can talk about certain cases, but not name names. As long as it's sufficiently anonymized, that's the key, right? And anyway.
Yeah, absolutely. The idea is to talk about it as a problem and we're looking for the solution. This is very much, conversations are about finding solutions. Nobody starts a conversation to say how many more problems can we make. We're generally, you start a conversation because something bothers you and you want to you want to talk about why it bothers you, and if it bothers you, you want to know how to make it not bother you anymore. And that's talk until you find the solution. And then there's, other words in there: compromise, perspective. That's another group. You might start a group that's just interested in the etymology of words. Because we've come into these conversations since we're literally in the Zoomosphere. We're talking to people around the world, and we want to communicate. We want to communicate efficiently. And just the other day, we were having a conversation. And I can't remember what the conversation was about at this moment, but there was a word that means exactly the opposite in Mexico. In this, the translation from English to Mexican Spanish, the word exactly means the opposite thing. So we were getting so confused in the conversation. We were going back and forth until we each, did a screenshot of our dictionary's definition of the word, and then we said, "Oh my God, this came up," and I found it, striking how many problems that could cause. And my friend in Mexico, while we were having the conversation, discovering that this completely opposite translation, she was collaborating with a group of translators. You never thought about that, did you? Translators get together and discuss the problems translators have and occur. And she said, "Here's this word. It means exactly the opposite when Americans are saying it. So, just think of all the times we did this wrong and what may have occurred, and how now we don't have that, going forward. We're all sharing this irony of the word, and we may save an international incident." Isn't that amazing? All
No, no,
comes
no.
out of
Listen,
conversation.
here's the thing. By building out, in the bigger picture is the network of conversations, which we talk about all over the website and everything. But the network of conversations that we're helping pioneer, we're not necessarily, the leaders, but we are leaders of it in our own way. But it's all the leaders across the entire Zoomosphere and the entire internet and all of academia. It's all these leaders coming together that will save life on Earth. It's humanity coming together. It's the leader in you, whoever you are watching this video. You're a leader. You may not know it yet. You still may not believe it, but we need you here. And so please think about that, which you're most passionate about, and please consider recording a 2-minute, not recording, but participating at the press conference and talking for 2 minutes. It'll be recorded. And if you get into the press conference on November 19th, which is filling up kind of exponentially, but it'll be full in a few days. But if you can get in on it, please do, because history will forever look back at the first press conference, November 19th, 2020, when we acquired 2020 Vision. It's better to be first than it is to be better. So if you can be at the first press conference, do it. Sign up. If there's still room, we'll let you in. If not, you'll be on the second press conference, which is a week later, November 26th, and so on and so on and so on. And I mean, the reality is whoever's in at the first 10 press conferences will be famous, right? Or even the first 100. It all depends on how far out you look. 100 years from now, the first 100 press conferences, which took 2 years to create, oh my goodness, people will have PhD theses on what happened. Anyway, because the whole thing is this exponentially growing thing. And again, there's going to be a whole bunch of other press conferences forming in our wake, so to speak. That's a good thing. We want to spawn myriad other press conferences, right? So I would hope a bunch of Germans would show up here and learn from us how we do it, learn from our failures, learn from our successes, and then do something 10 times better, right? In the German speaking world, go for it, right? In fact, Napoleon said that the strength of a country really depends upon its mathematical sophistication. I would say that the strength of a language, a culture, depends on its degree of evolution within the network of conversations, because there's kind of this divide forming between those who are on the super highway, the super fast track, exponentially growing, emergent network of conversations, and all these amazing tools and platforms and everything else that we're talking about, that are part of that, or you're not, right? And for the ones who are in early and really get in on the game early, right, you get transformed in the process, but you don't get overwhelmed by it, because you're not just riding the wave, you're part of the wave. All of us are part of the wave right now. And it's building and building and building.
Yeah. Come catch a wave.
Exactly. Anyway, we'll be talking a lot about this tomorrow at the block party. Let me get this published tonight if I can. And let me get on with the communication. So I'm going to stop recording or pause recording in a few moments here. But is there anything else either of you guys would like to add, or by way of the invitation, especially by way of the invitation? We're now talking to the world and saying, hey, please come and sign up on the press conference. We need you here.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't imagine. I'm not even sure I can stress how important I think this will be. You just have to think about something that you want to talk about. You don't have to be any special group right now. You just have to want to have a conversation, and bringing it here, getting your 2 minutes, and you'll get to have that'll get people to know where you are. And you don't know it now, but the conversations you have may be the most important ones that are had in the next, this next year of humanity that is in a great deal of flux right now, the world. And you just might have the most important conversation and not even realize it. So please don't hide in the shadows. Come have your conversation. Bring light to your conversation. The light is here, and we'll shine it on you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Marco. All righty. Wow. Love it, love it, love it. I love what you just said, Marco. It's just so spot on. And we all need to come together and, all take our marbles out of our pockets, put them on the table, and let's see what we can create together. We need to bring our Lego blocks too. Bring them all. And our food and our time and our commitment. We need to come together and do this. We need to come together and intentionally co-create, co-evolve the network of conversations. Each of us have our part to do. Figure out as best you can, or just even a first, it doesn't matter. Just get in the game, right? Whatever you, yeah.
Yeah, there's so many benefits of this new Zoom experience. You don't have to, meet with everybody at that restaurant where everybody else likes the food but you don't, but that's where everybody's going. So you stomach it. You eat a little bit there, and then afterwards you have to stop and get pizza because you're still starving because you couldn't eat any of that crap they had there. Or maybe you're vegan. Oh, vegans love our space. They get together, they talk, they share recipes, they have guest speakers on nutrition. It's amazing. Also, you're comfortable at home. You can get back, you can kick off your shoes, not worry about how bad your feet smell that you're going to drive everybody else out of the room. You have your favorite beverage there. your comfortable chair, and you still get to make a difference. And you know, if you're feeling, you know, you're kind of a little bit shy, you know, it's like you couldn't pull a word out of me before I started here, and just you can't shut me up now. It just becomes so natural.
Yeah, you are a conversational animal out of a cage, Marco. And your facial hair looks it, you know. And anyway, by the way, that's an important point. We have an agreement that we can kind of make. We poke fun at each other and all that, and that's actually an important point to make, which is we're in a collective agreement to play in a way that's just jump in and, you know, and we understand each other, and so we can joke around with each other. But that's a very special arrangement. I just want to be clear. Most open houses are way more, I'd say, PC and way more just sensitive. We don't just like poke fun at anyone. Like I poke fun at Christopher and Marco because they like it, literally, and it helps kind of keep us laughing and keep us going. All right, Marco looks frozen up. No, you froze up. You're okay, Marco. Go ahead.
Okay, there. Can you hear me? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. We have a lot of fun. You know, when you're talking about the world's problems, you got to lighten it up once in a while, and we, you know, we talk a lot about that, but we also talk about all the good things and the solutions. And when you make breakthroughs, it's just amazing. But you know, when you come into the main area, we're in a breakout room now, so you know, only the three of us here hear what's said, know what's said, and we have, you know, an agreement on what we can do in here. So our poking fun is totally all right. When you come into the main room, the campfire, that's a different situation. We have you know, more, you know, that's a pretty PC area, and if you'd like to have something more relaxed than that, you just get a breakout room.
Exactly. Very well said. Very well said. Hey, I'd like to screen share for a moment and just kind of show folks where we're going to go in the next video. So I'm screen sharing the website of ThePressConference.org. And here's the home page. Anyway, you can see the menu here in the upper right. And I'm going to click on sign up, right? And it's got a drop down here. You can do sign up present or sign up volunteer. I'm going to do sign up present. Boop. So I click on it, and that takes me to the sign up page. The next video we're going to record is going to go right here. This is just a placeholder, but we're going to look at how do we sign up for the press conference. There's some really valuable information here talking about how it all works. We'll cover all of that. We'll cover the different fields that you need to fill in to sign up to do a 2-minute presentation at the press conference. So we'll cover all that. And you know, the fact that there's different, all these are Thursdays, right? So it's a press conference every Thursday, and there's different hours that you can pick to present. So we'll cover all that. And we'll also talk about your open house, creating an open house, or if you already have a conversation that you consider to be an open house, we'll talk about that. And anyway, just wanted to give at least a quick glimpse at that. That'll be the next video we record. And if you gentlemen are game, we can do it together. Anyway, but I say we wrap this up so we can get that one recorded, because we need to get that up on the website.
Yeah.
So we do it.
I think we covered pretty much everything. Anything left from you, Christopher? Did you want to make a cameo while we're still recording? You know, see your
No,
face?
No. See, that's going too far, because that's putting actually pressure on Christopher. And so anyway, I just wanted to flag that.
So you see how that works. You know, that's what it is. When one of us steps over our agreement line, then the next one pulls us right into line. So,
but we do it immediately. And there's no shaming or anything like that. We don't let it fester. We just get right onto it. Right. Yeah, that was a really good example. Yeah. So thanks.
Very comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. All righty. Well, I'm going to wrap it up for now. And thank you all for watching. And we'll see you on the next video. The next video will be over there in the sign up page. So go check that out and sign up to present. That's where you'll see the next video. All right. We'll see you there. Thanks so much. Thank you, Marco. Thank you, Christopher. And thank you for watching. Thank you. And we'll see you on ThePressConference.org. Sign up. We'll see you there. Thanks. Bye.